Hello, tearjerkers and tank treads. My name is TV Skyn, and I'm doing research for a thing I'm writing. And over the course of that, I've been reviewing a whole bunch of Overwatch content, like the character designs, the lore, the backstory, the writing, and the animated shorts. And over the course of that, I rewatched this recently, The Last Bastion, which is an Overwatch short that Blizzard put out some time ago at this point. And the first time I saw it, when I think it was doing a Gamescom or something like that they showed it, like it was during some kind of gaming event, they showed it. I had a little bit of because I'm a sucker. I'm a complete sucker. I'm the easiest mark in the world for silent animation and for like cute robots and birds and stuff like that. So I had that's a little tear running down my cheek. That's cute. And that was fine. And so what I was not expecting was that this time I was going to watch it and break down sobbing into the sleeve of my shirt, trying very hard to be quiet so as not to frighten my poor roommate with a loud ass. I complete 2.5 to 5 minutes, I don't even know how long, just sobbing into my arm, just bawling my eyes out. And I have spent the rest of the day thinking about why that happened. What the hell changed? I watched it one time and it was fine. And this time it's just all emotions pouring out of my face. What the hell happened? So that's what this video is gonna be about. I'm gonna try my best not to crack it. It's been a while. It's been a couple of hours since then, so I'm probably in a better headspace now. But yeah, so let's talk about what this short is, what it does, and how it works. Because there's a couple of interesting things going on here. First of all, The Last Bastion as a short is completely disconnected from the rest of the Overwatch, as it were, cinematic universe. It has really nothing to do with the rest of Overwatch except that it takes place in that world, in the sense that you don't need to know a goddamn thing about Overwatch to be able to understand this thing. You don't need to know who Tracer is. You don't need to know who Widowmaker is. What is the Overwatch organization? What's the Omnic Crisis? All of that. None of that is necessary. This thing speaks completely for itself, and it does so by not speaking at all. This entire short is animated without a single spoken line of dialogue. And this is the animation that I love most in the whole wide world. I adore it. And it's like Pixar's WALL-E is just one of the masterpieces of modern animation. I adore the hell out of it because silent animation to me, and this is a personal opinion, not like an objective one, is the peak of what animation can do. Communicating completely wordlessly just by bringing something to life that wasn't alive before. It's the peak of animation. It's the peak of acting for me. So I'm the easiest mark in the world for stuff like this. I am so eager to empathize with characters that communicate wordlessly. So that's the thing. It has no connection to the rest of the Overwatch universe, so you don't need to be invested in Overwatch in order to find this interesting or compelling. Secondly, all of the animation is conveyed with not a single word of it. Even when we're inside the Bastion's head and he's getting instructions to go and do the thing, no words, no, you must complete your mission, blah, blah, blah. No, just, here's a goal, you should move towards it, here's a path on how to do that. So those things are important for what the thing is doing. But the thing that ended up, I think, making me sob into my arms is, first of all, because I was looking at it with, I was trying harder to understand it. When I first watched it, I was just trying to experience it. I was just trying to, it's happening, and I'm looking at it and things. This time around, I was trying very hard to understand what the short is actually saying on a thematic level. And what it's saying is, I guess, something that hits a little bit more close to home than it did when I wasn't really thinking about it. Because the Bastion here is, well, it's the last Bastion, as it were. It's not the last one, as it turns out, which we know with Will Nullsec and stuff like that, but it's a robot that's left over from a conflict that happened decades and decades ago. It's been in the forest, deactivated for so long that it's completely overgrown with nature. Nature has covered it over to the point where this adorable bird, and can we just appreciate the animation of the bird? Can we just do that? See, because birds are weird creatures. They are not quite like mammals. They have a very different way of behaving. They have a very different way of moving. And so, it can be a little bit more difficult to empathize with a bird than it can be to empathize with like a kitten or something like that, because they are distinct, unique creatures. So the character design is doing a lot of work here. We've got like those big black adorable eyes, which are made even bigger by the markings around its eyes, and then this lovely little jaunty green patch, and then a lot of attention from the animators is spent like making sure that the bird moves is in as adorable a way as possible. Like, look at this. Look at how the head and the body moves sort of independently. You get that head bobbing effect of like a bird where they stabilize their head as the rest of their body moves. And the animation spends a lot of time making us find this bird absolutely fucking adorable, which we do. Look at this precious little thing. Look at this precious little, he's building a little nest. And he's putting a little thing on. He was like, yes, this will go right here, and my nest will be beautiful. And they're hamming this shit the fuck up. Like, there's little flowers in the nest, and the bird is all yellow. He's got a little perky thing on the top. It's adorable. They're doing everything within the powers of the medium of animation and character design to make you think this bird is the most adorable thing in the fucking universe. And you have to, because it's an important part of what they're about to do to you. The bird, he is the one who wakes up the Bastion, of course. The bird is the one who brings the Bastion into this new world. Look at this. It's such an adorable means of animation, because you can see the bird is really just curious. And the bird is innocent. Like, that's the advantage of using animal characters, and especially of using mute characters, is that when we don't engage with them fully in the way that we would with a human character, we also give them a greater sense of innocence. Right? Like, once they begin speaking, once we know that they're sentient, then we know, okay, but then they can also be deceptive. They can also lie. And that's something that you kind of don't do with, like, no, but it's just a bird. It doesn't know how to lie. It just knows how to be honest about everything because it's an animal. And I love, like, some lovely squash and stretch going on here, too. Look at how it takes off. We can get the, yeah, wing. Look at that. And that's, again, like, there's a more realistic way to portray the bird taking off, but the thing they go for, and multiple times, is this kind of cartoony, bouncy, almost rubbery behavior for the bird. I know the bird has a name. I don't remember what it is, but it has a name in the lore. Chirp, 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 chirp. And he's talking to him. Like, he's basically trying to talk to the Bastion. And now we get to the Bastion's own animation, which is also just... I mean, can we just appreciate something here? Look at this. He's about to do a katunk, like, as he engages his motors. Look at the leaves in the background here. The shake happens, and then the shaking of the leaves sort of persists a little bit after. Just the animation on the dirt and the grass and the stuff that falls off him here is just absolutely gorgeous. And, oh, here again, look at the, like, I love the character animation on this bird so much. Look at this. That dive right there. Like, this makes no sense in terms of physics. Birds can't do that. They can't just, like, chuck their wings in and then just, like, bleh. Even hummingbirds can't do that. But again, it's that sort of rubbery, cartoony thing that makes the bird even cuter to look at, because it's not doing the thing that real birds do, which is like flapping its wings all over the place. It looks like a rubber toy in the way that it moves, which makes it so much more adorable. Anyway, the Bastion himself, his characterization is important here, because what we get from his animation when he wakes up is the first thing he does is like, who am I? And you can kind of see that confusion on him. Is like the first thing he does is he looks at his hands as though he has never seen them before. Well, his hand and his gun arm, rather. And you get, like, just from the animation, you get the sense that he doesn't quite know who or what he is. And then, so good. The bird streaks across his vision, and now we know that he's curious. Like, he looks at the bird because, hey, and the bird is sitting there squeaking and talking to him. And there, that little head tilt is so important, because that's an inquisitive head tilt. That's what a dog does when it's trying to hear something, when it's trying to figure out what someone is doing or saying. You know, they do that little head tilt. That's what this is. This is curiosity. This is inquisitiveness. And again, they're going so ham. They got pink flowers all over him. They've got, like, they're making him maximum uber adorable, because it is necessary for us to empathize deeply with this robot. in order for us to feel what they're about to do to us next. And so in the process of him waking up here, we get this map projected onto his face. Here's this icon with a red thing and a path to follow, and then we see... And because we're video game literate, we know, oh, okay, he's being given a path to follow. So we understand, okay, his programming has kicked in, the robot is going to go somewhere and do something. Because he's a robot, he has some programming that makes him do certain things. He's been programmed to react to the world in certain ways. And then the rest of the animation takes over. The Bastion just wanders through these environments. And take a look at how this is framed. The main character of this shot is not the Bastion, it's this flower. And it's this nature that he's wandering through. We are made to feel the beauty of this environment. We're made to understand it and engage with it. And we're meant to feel, oh God, this is gorgeous. I want to be here. I want to have a picnic. I want to go wandering. I want to see. And then there's this. This is what's called the Kuleshov Effect, or well, not quite, but it's a shot reverse shot. Basically, we get a shot of his face looking up, or its face rather, their face. I think it's they officially. Looking up at the beautiful, like the sun passing through the leaves and this gorgeous ancient tree. We're meant to really feel this place. Like, again, they're going so ham. Like, this is not, you don't find this anywhere in nature. This is invented, and it's so romantic. Like, that's really what this is. It's romanticism. In the traditional sense of the thing, with like the romantics and the romanticism was... They're not the same thing, are they? The Romantics, anyway, were this movement of people who, like, emphasized big emotions and a connection with nature and stuff like that. And it's really very much in that tradition that the nature itself is made the main character of a lot of these shots. And we see the Bastion, like, he's got his programming driving him this way, but he's also inquisitive about nature. He's curious about it, and we can see that curiosity begins to take him over. Like, it starts raining, and he's confused by that. Like, what's this rain about? And this is when we reemphasize, like, he still has the nest on his shoulder, and the bird is following him around because of the nest. And now here's a moment, like, before the bird was distant from him, right? It woke him up, then it flew over to a branch, and he was like, oh, that's a bird. Well, I guess I have to go do my mission. Now we have a moment between them where he's holding up his hand, water is pooling in the hand, and the bird's like, oh, well, guess I'll have a drink. Isn't that nice? And you can see this is the moment when he decides, actually, I don't give a shit about my programming. I'm going to follow the bird. And the bird is sitting on his head. And there's tadpoles in the water. And you can see this is when, like, he's decided to ignore his programming and experience nature and be curious about it and engage with it. And also understand a few crucial facts about how birds interact with insects. Which is so adorable. Like, he's looking at this little thing and the bird is like, oh, snack. And then his reaction is like, oh, like, oh, so that's what happens, which is adorable. And the sound design is also doing a ton of the work. I'm not playing the music for you here because I keep stopping and starting and going back and forth, so that will be annoying to listen to. But, and then we get this, again, they're going so ham where we're establishing that he's curious, he's in nature, he's at peace with this world, he's entranced by it, he enjoys it to the extent that a robot can enjoy things. Like, this is some place that is pleasant for him to be. And the bird is building its nest, and this moment is so fucking important. This moment right here. Because this is the moment when we get sold on this character, when this character sells himself to us finally. Like, this is, that if you're even remotely empathetic with him before this point, this is when you fucking lock in. Because this is when he commits an act of kindness towards the bird. Like, this is why the bird needed to be so fucking, like, cute to us in the beginning of the thing. Because we really want to emphasize, oh, he's building an adorable little nest and it's got flowers in it, it's so cute. And the Bastion gives him a branch. Like, a little, okay, hey friend, I'm going to help you do that. He does an act of empathy, an act of kindness for this bird. This is what confirms to us that this is a good guy, right? Like, this is a good person. This is someone who is kind, who's capable of kindness and friendliness and friendship, and who's capable of forming connections with others. And he's so gentle about it. And then the Woodpecker. And you can see that he does not like that at all. And the Woodpecker, the sound design again is doing a lot of work here. The Woodpecker's pecking is designed to sound like gunfire. Like, and you can see the change in his, like, because his animation up until this point has been very slow, very languid, very calm, very like he's just gliding kind of like with that smoothness that robots can have. You can really see it here, like that gentility and smoothness and calmness. Like he's very calm in these scenes. And then we get the woodpecker. And it's also like the bird even accepts the gift. Like he's like, yeah, you can put it there. And then we get the woodpecker. And look how the body language, and again, this is where the animators deserve all the credit in the fucking world. Look what they do with his body language. Look how his head moves, like rapidly scanning back and forth, looking for the threat. Look how sudden, how jittery his movements become. Like, look at him there. Like how he's constantly looking around, trying to figure out what's going on. And we see the bird flying around him. And we can see, this is a camera trick where they change the focal length. This is, if you were doing it with a real camera, you'd be changing the focal length of the camera so that the space seems like it deepens, which is a really good way to make a space all of a sudden feel threatening. Like this place, this nature place that had been so pleasant and safe before, all of a sudden becomes a terrifying place to him. You get the sense of the fear, as it were, that the robot is feeling right now, or at least the equivalent of fear, which is that he detects a threat. And so, like the simplest color coding in the world, we go from blue to red. And then this happens. And the bird is terrified. Of course he is. And what he does here is he destroys this beautiful environment. Like this beautiful place that he had found that had been so good to him. And look at how the color coding, by the way, changes. Here, all like bright and saturated. Beautiful greens. And then once he's done, look at all the gray. All the color, all the life has been drained out of it. And that heartbreaking, oh god, stings even now it stings a little bit. Because he responds the way that he's been programmed to respond. He thinks, I'm being shot at, I'm being fired upon, I must return fire. This is my programming. And then, and again, all credit to the animators, because he comes out of that form, and look what happens to his animation. There's this little shuddering, this little shaking, and then all of a sudden it's like he comes back to his senses. Like all of a sudden he realizes what he's done. Look at this. That little shudder, like, wait, what have I done? And then, you bastards, Blizzard, you fucking bastards. We get the implication that the bird is dead. Because there's a little feather and the broken nest amid bullet casings and grass that has been broken into mud by this stamping of his militaristic feet. Oh god, it hurts. Like, because you get this complete shattering of the idyll, and the implication that what he's done is this little friendly bird, this little thing that didn't hurt him at all, that just was there and was pleasant with him, that he has hurt it. Not because he meant to, but because he did what his programming told him to do. And the animators, again, you can see the shame. Like, you can see how his shoulders fall, and how he's like, oh god, like, he begins to understand what he has done. And his programming kicks back in. The programming says, you have a mission, go there. And you can see how he feels like, well, I shouldn't be here anymore. Like, oh, that little, look at that. As he turns around and goes to him, look at how his head droops. Like, just that little droop that he's so ashamed. Or at least that's the emotion we project onto him. That's the emotion we feel. And now all of a sudden, where the nature shots of our robot friend before, yeah, nature's still bigger than him, but now, rather than looking like this wonderful space that he's occupying and that he's a part of, and that he's enjoying being in, you get a shot like this one, and he looks lonely. The one that comes up just in a sec. Lonely. Very alone, and also apart from nature. He's not among, like, nature is here. He's not among it. He's very far back and apart from it. He's being framed against the backdrop of the castle, so I guess we're in Germany. In the Overwatch world. And so he exits nature. He leaves it. This place of nature that he had been in, that was wonderful, and here's his target, a human city. He doesn't know that, but that's his target. And a big plain Windows XP background for him to wander across. This is where he was. This was this wonderful place that he ruined, that he destroyed, or at least so he feels. And there's his target. So he starts to wander. But he's not wandering with ill intent. He's just, okay, I'm supposed to go there. And you can see but he wants to go back. He wishes he could. Until he finds, well, that thing looks disturbingly similar to me. And oh, there's quite a lot of them. What happened here? He's about to find out. And again, the acting is doing such a brilliant job of this, because you can see again, he's approaching with inquisitiveness, like he's trying to figure out what happened. And so he will. And oh, this shift here. Because it's both him experiencing someone else's memories and him having a flashback of his own. And I really like the synchronization that, like, his headlight blinks off and then blinks on again, and then he's in this new reality. And you can see that he's shocked by it and frightened by it. And what he sees is a bunch of people who look like him being murdered by a bunch of the people who live in that city. He sees a massacre of those who are like him. He sees horror. Absolute, horrendous, horrifying destruction. And his reaction to that. And you can see it again, the way that the animation changes is that when he's blue, like when he's in his relaxed state, his whole body is relaxed. And you see the moment that he switches over to red mode, how everything about him tenses up completely and becomes stiff and rigid. Boom. Now he knows why he's going to the city. Because he has to fulfill his programming. And we're coming up to the moment when I started sobbing last time. I think I've got it under control this time around because the bird comes back. And he comes back with a branch to rebuild the nest. The nest that was broken. And he puts it on the bastion and goes, hey, look, branch, you want to build a nest, buddy? Hey, have fun. And the thing that got me, I think, was that this time around, I was thinking more about, hang on, what's actually being said here? What's the metaphor? Like, what's the narrative that's being played through here, actually? And you can see he comes down, here's a branch, and then he chirps at him, hey, no, it's okay. It's okay. The thing you did, like, you broke some stuff. We can fix it. And it's that act of forgiveness that heals him. You can see it. He snaps out of the programming. That violence that was in him is undone. And again, look at the animation. Like, look how once he shifts out of his combat mode, how he all of a sudden, all his joints are loose. You can see him, he becomes all relaxed and he can swing around. And he can do that little wee, honk, almost getting off balance. And he walks back into nature, which is where he really belongs. And so, okay, I can keep it together. I swear to God. Okay. So the meta-narrative here is not really, like, in the lore of Overwatch, this is a robot from the Omnic Crisis that was, like, left on nature for a long time. Its programming got messed up somehow, and it became capable of not following its programming to kill stuff, but just to do stuff because of, like, its own AI, whatever. The metaphor here is something else. The Last Bastion, a lot of people call it a PTSD narrative, which it definitely can be read that way. But more specifically, the Bastion has a certain programming. There's some things that are in him that he is predisposed to do, some ways that he's predisposed to behave. And that's what we see in the Woodpecker scene, is that he hears this noise that frightens him. And the only response he knows to something that makes him scared or uncomfortable is to lash out. It's the only one he has. He doesn't know how to do anything else. It's his programming. And because of that programming, he does something absolutely horrible. Like, he doesn't kill the bird, but goddamn if it probably took out a few deer. And he destroyed something beautiful because of it. And in destroying that, you can see how it hurts him too. Right? He was just responding to his programming. He was just doing what the only thing he knew how to do. And it caused disaster. Because of that, he exiles himself from, like, I can't be here. I'm dangerous. I will hurt people. I don't belong here. And so he self-isolates. And he, like, that's the meta-narrative. That's the metaphor that's being told here. Which is why this is emotionally effective. It's because this is something people do. We all fuck shit up sometimes. Like, it's times when we hurt people we care about. Not because we want to, but because some fucked up thing in our brain, or some past experience, or something makes us do terrible mistakes. And destroy things that are beautiful for no good reason. And often that stuff, as we discover with the Dead Bastion, that can be past traumas, like ways in which we ourselves were hurt. And being stuck in the memory of that pain, in the memory of the things that once happened to us, can make us perpetuate. You know, like, because that's what he's about to do. He sees this war scene, this scene of death and destruction of all of the people like him being destroyed by this, and he's about to go repeat it. He's about to go become another one of the corpses on the field because he's one robot and there's a huge city of humans. He's about to repeat the cycle. So what is it that breaks him out of it? Like, what is the thing that can save you from that? From just repeating the cycle? And it's an act of forgiveness. It's an act of forgiveness. That's what's being said here. That you are not doomed. You're not programmed to hurt people. You're not programmed to be bad or to destroy beautiful things. And you are not undeserving of kindness. You can change. Things that you have broken can be rebuilt. Mistakes that you made can be fixed. And that's the thing that fucking broke me, because I think I needed to hear that today. That, you know, it can get better. You can get better. And you're not doomed to be only... Gonna hold it together, I swear to God! You're not doomed to be only your own worst attributes. And the thing that saves people, the thing that pulls them back from the brink, is an act of forgiveness and an act of kindness. Ugh. Whew. Anyway, that's why this thing left me a sobbing motherfucking mess today. Fuck you. Fuck you, Blizzard. You assholes. As usual, when I talk about Blizzard media, by the way, as is true with all of these AAA video game companies, the executives and the upper management are slimy snake people, jerkbacks and assholes, the lot of them. But god damn if the workers, like the animators, the artists, the directors, the writers, god damn if they can't create beautiful things, even in spite of that. I held it together. I held it together. Oh god. Yeah, I think I needed to hear that today. I really think I did. Anyway, if you've enjoyed listening to me desperately try not to cry on camera, you can hit the like, comment, and subscribe button, and that's all very good for my channel. And yeah, I got a link to the whole thing. You should really see this thing with the sound on. And if you break down crying as well, let me know in the comments, because I don't want to be alone. What What else? Right, I have a merchandise store. There's some stuff on. I put a new shirt up on there recently, and there's a Black Friday thing going on right now, and for a few days, I think. So if you want to get it cheap, then link to that. And I've got a Patreon, which you can support if you want to. I've got a tip jar if you want to give me a tip to buy some tissues. Those are options as well. What else? Right. The thing I say at the end of my videos is that even if you don't want to support me directly on Patreon, completely get that. That's completely fine. In general, I want to encourage you to support content creators that you like, who do like stuff that you enjoy on the internet, because especially for smaller content creators, $1 can literally be the same as thousands of views on a video. Like even those very small contributions make much more of a difference than you think. And especially with Christmas coming up, for people who rely on YouTube and stuff for their income, Christmas tends to be a slow time, and so does January. They tend to be really tight times of year, so people really genuinely need all the help they can get. So if there is an online content creator whose work you enjoy and you'd like to help them out, consider support, even with $1. Content creators in general, try and support them when you can with whatever you can. That's the thing I'd like to encourage you to do. Anyway, what else? If you haven't enjoyed this video, you can hit the dislike button down below, and it's fine, because no one likes to hear grown men cry. Yeah. I need some tissues. Thank you very much for watching.